I want you to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it, and relax it. Eliminate violence.
Saying good morning to our viewers and listeners of GBN and Classic Radio. This is GBN TV and the Classic Radio. Good morning to you. Welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Wednesday, the 27th day of September 2023. Good morning once again. With me this morning, I have Ms. Gail Purell, and together with Dr. Wendy Crawford. Gail Purell is the, of course, manager and secretary of the Commemorate of the 50th anniversary of independence. Also, of course, Dr. Wendy Crawford, I should say. She's the chair of the committee. Let me say good morning to both of you and welcome to this edition of To The Point. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning and thanks for having us. Good morning to listeners out there.
Yes, good morning and thank you, JC, for having us here.
Well, nice to have you both on the program this morning, and it's interesting to have you because the talk is in the air, if I could say that. The talk is in the air, Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence, and it's one of the conversations that lots of folks are interested to find out what's going to be happening for our 50th anniversary of independence. But there's always been that bit of talk. We saw you both on the press briefing sometime last week, and you did mention some stuff that will be taking place, but probably we get a little more in depth in terms of what's be taking place for anniversary. Let's kick it off with the Secretariat. Yes, I think it's better to kick it off. They say the younger one first. Tell us about the Secretariat and the functions and so forth of the Secretariat. Tell us about that.
Okay, so the Secretariat is going to be established at a physical location on the Carnage. We'll be in the building that formerly housed Tropical Shipping. Mm-hmm. So we're just doing the preparatory work now as we get ready.
So not fully up and running, is it?
No, we're not fully up and running. We available virtually, but and we're working, but we don't have we're not occupying the physical space as yet.
All right.
So we're in the process of getting that ready to open our doors for to the public.
All right.
And really, the Secretariat, the intention is to be, I would say, the nerve center of the independence preparations. We are headed by the National Organizing Committee, of which Dr. Crawford is the chairperson. And it's really to have a central location, a central body that looks at implementing the plans and programs of the Organizing Committee.
All right. So, as you mentioned, it's not fully up and running yet. And what would you folks be taking care of? You did mention the plans and function. What really the Secretary will be taking care of during the 50th anniversary?
Well,
in terms of leading to the 50th anniversary of independence.
Right. So there are going to be a number of events throughout the span of the celebrations, and we'll get into that probably in depth a little bit more. But because the committee includes, about 15 representatives, which includes a representative from each parish, the parish lead, members from various committees, and that then they are also broken down into a number of subcommittees because the levels are pretty deep in terms of getting full involvement and a wide cross section of involvement of people in the planning of these events and activities. So with that being said, with the number of committees, you always need an arm that is there to pull the pieces together, implement the pieces, make sure that things are running, connected with all of the committees and subcommittees, so that we move from a phase of talking to doing. The plans are easy to make. The real challenge is bringing them to life.
Getting them to run off.
Yes. So that is really the core function of the Secretariat, to ensure that all of the plans that are prepared and made and documented are actually coming to life.
All right. Let's talk about some of the plans for the month of October, November, December. I'm assuming funds already allocated and so forth. What are some of the plans for that will run off between now and the next couple of months till we end 2023?
So as you're aware, we will be launching the commemoration of our 50th anniversary on the 19th of October.
Yes.
And that from that period, we can say that we would break the events up into probably like 2 phases, pre-Independence Day and then post.
Right.
The pre-Independence events will start to roll out from launch day, and leading up to, we will have an intense period of activities later in January, which will be like a 10-day period spanning up to February 7th. And during that time, we have numerous activities, and prior to that as well, but that's the intense period of events. But there'll be a number of different events. Each parish has been allocated a month, so that is the post-Independence Day activities. So Independence is being celebrated for an entire year.
Yes.
It's not just on the 7th of February that everything is going to be, crammed into one day and we all come out and we celebrate and have a good time and we go back to normal on February 8th. For this Jubilee year, we're going to be acknowledging the year for the entirety from the 7th of February right through to the 7th of February 2024.
All right. Now, the launch, as you mentioned, will be on the 19th of October. What are we going to be presented with during the launch? If that could be mentioned. I don't think you may want to give everything out.
That's right. We don't want to give everything
but
out.
Maybe something that will highlight what's taking place, what Grenada could probably look forward to during the launch.
There are some key elements, yes. That obviously, we want people to be there.
Yes.
The launch is going to happen.
You got to tickle our mind somehow.
Yeah. We want people to come out. It's a national event, so we want people to come out in their numbers on that day, as would have been articulated by our Prime Minister. That will be a holiday on the 19th.
Yes.
Once we get that final proclamation, but that is the intention as it is. And the event itself will be an opportunity for the unveiling of the logo for the 50th Independence celebrations. It will also be the unveiling of the theme.
All right.
And there will be a theme song that will be unveiled as well. And there'll be a lot of performances. There'll be a lot of cultural performances. There'll be addresses, of course, by the chairperson, by the Prime Minister.
So it's not going to be that typical launch. There's something specific we'll be looking for. There's always something typical of where things are launching.
The typical part is there will be a formal ceremonial part of it, which where we have the addresses and things, but it will be flanked in cultural presentations, performances and other things. That it's really going to be an entire it's an afternoon event.
Okay.
And we do have a few surprises we're holding in our pocket.
Surprises are always good.
Yeah. But we certainly expect that the public we want them to come out and be fully engaged and participate and embrace this event as the beginning of, the beginning of a new era for us. We're 50 and we want to go into our next 50 years with a new vision, a new energy, and really reflecting back on what our first 50 was like, and looking forward to the vision of what the next 50 is going to be like. 50
years of independence is a milestone for Grenada.
Yes.
We think it from then to now, the achievements and so forth. I guess that's all that's going to be entailed in this year's in the celebrations that's coming up. You understand? I also the process of the national heroes that will be part of the celebrations that we entails. What's the process being used for selecting?
The national heroes.
Is it the national heroes? Yes. Something about our national heroes. I don't want to say. I want you all to tell me. I mean, I just wanted to know what was the process that been used for selecting national heroes.
Yeah. Okay.
If that could be shared.
Yes, I think on October the 19th is declared a National Heroes Day. And there is a process for the selection of heroes.
All right.
First, there is a subcommittee that has been assigned with the responsibility of coming up with some criteria for the selection of these national heroes. And maybe I can touch on some of the criteria, but they have come up with criteria and some recommendations, and they have looked back at Grenada from the period of the indigenous to currently, and identified a number of persons recommended to be national heroes that the various parishes need to provide that information so that the public can look at those names and make recommendation as to who should actually be identified as heroes. So it is well established in terms of the criteria, and that committee is comprised of historians and persons involved in heritage, persons like Angus Martin, Gloria Payne, Nicole Phillip, some of our national historians and cultural persons who are trained in culture and so they have come up with a number of criteria for the identification. They have come up with a number of proposed names from which we are going to present to the public to make recommendations as to who they think should be.
They're saying that there's a law that governs, of course, national heroes and so. Has it been amended in any way to facilitate?
No, the committee studied that act.
Yes.
It was provided by which the Governor General. So that's a number of other awards. That's awards that's given at Independence or the New Year, right? It's not the National Heroes Awards. But the act was taken into consideration, looking at all of the criteria. I think that award. That act calls for the Governor General to have an awards committee, and that is still in process. So that's the award that will be given. I think there are 7 or 8 awards that are given in that light.
Now, what part would the diaspora be playing in activities, and how, especially in coordinating it, in like the question of the heroes? You understand who let's say the final say, and stuff like that. Well, how does the diaspora fit into this?
Well, the diaspora plays an important role. They do make their plans overall for their own celebrations wherever they are residing. So, for example, the groups in New York, the groups in Miami, Florida, Canada, the UK, they do prepare their own plans and they feed them into to us as the Secretariat. In fact, we've just recently started meeting with them to hear what their plans are and how they coordinate with what the local plans are in Grenada. And in speaking to them, many of them have plans that will also span throughout the year, but they don't want to clash. They don't want to clash, and they also want to leave space within their plans for people to come back to Grenada for the actual events, because a number of people, we are positive and we know that a number of people want to return to be here in Grenada to recognize our 50th anniversary on February 7th. And that's part of the reason that in rolling out or laying out our plans, we curated a 10-day period of concentration activities that allows for people who are outside of Grenada to make their travel plans, to know when the events are going to take part, see the calendar of events, and plan their travel accordingly for when they want to arrive. So if they want to be part of, cultural activities, different things, because the events will span from sporting events to conference type events to cultural events that will take place during that period. So that allows the diaspora to plan to be here on soil in Grenada for this, what we expect to be a fabulous occasion. And it also helps them feed into the plans, because not everyone can come back.
So true.
And certainly we have Grenadians, it's normally said we have more Grenadians outside of Grenada than in Grenada. So we know we have our communities in various city centers throughout the world. And knowing what our plans are helps them also curate their plans so they can continue to celebrate in unison with us throughout the year.
I have one question before the break. What are some of the main or the major activities being planned? I know I'm kind of pushing you to spill a lot of the beans.
Yeah.
But,
well, I can say broadly, JT, that the events we will have, we intend to have conference type events.
Yes.
That's cultural activities, which will be like what one of the typical things that we are accustomed to during independence is an independent song competition. You can expect to see that. You can expect to see a national beautification drive.
Right. That's one of my questions I wanted to ask you. Will we see that happening where we, Grenadians as a whole in various patches are encouraged to beautify the island?
Yeah.
Or their parish, per se, and make it, that will be part of it.
That will certainly form part of it. We want to encourage people to start to because the parishes are leading their events within their month, and within their month they may have specific things that they want to do that is localized to St. Mark, for example.
Just unique to that particular parish.
What reflects them in their period of independence for the 50 years. And the parish events gives an opportunity to do that. It gives an opportunity on a smaller level to recognize their own stalwarts in the community. They may not be national heroes, but there certainly are stalwarts
that
within
individual may have stand out in that parish or the community.
That's right. Who has done something that is long standing and they want to recognize.
All right. We due for a break. Let's take our first break. We're coming back, folks. It's to the point for today, Wednesday, the 27th of September. I'll be coming right back. Stay with us. Don't touch your dial.
You more chances to multiply your Playway winnings by adding Multi-X to your regular Playway bets to win up to 5 times more. Imagine winning as much as $1,200 instead of $240 with a $10 Playway bet by simply adding Multi-X. Place your Playway bets from $1 to $10 or in increments on your favorite Playway symbols or numbers. Then add the Multi-X option at the same value to win 2 times, 3 times, 5 times more, or free plays. With Multi-X, you must bet the same amount wagered on your regular Playway bets for your winnings to be multiplied. Grenadians, value your dreams and win your way as much as 5 times more with Multi-X added to Playway and watch your money grow. Must be 18 years or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.
Introducing the NIS Dream Loan, where possibilities are boundless and your aspirations are our priority. No matter where life takes you, NIS Dream Loans are here to make your dreams a reality. From purchasing your first plot of land or dream property to renovating spaces, building your home, and seamlessly switching mortgages, we cater to every step of your journey. And here's what sets us apart. We offer easy financing options with competitive interest rates, quick approval processes, and flexible repayment terms. So why wait? Apply now and let our dedicated NIS team guide you through this exciting journey. Visit nisgrenada.org/dream loan or call 440-3309 to book an appointment. Terms and conditions apply. Your dream awaits.
I want you to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it, and relax it. Eliminate violence.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. Good morning also to our social media platforms. Those of you via our YouTube channels and our Facebook page, good morning and welcome back. Welcome back, ladies. Welcome back to the program this morning. My next line of question is it's been one of those questions we hear people been talking and saying, and so sometimes you just put a little attention into it. Would you say it's very late to be launching, considering that we always known to of course that we already knew that that next year will be our 50th anniversary? Would you think it was a bit too late for the launch, or that could have been done? Who would like to chime in on that?
In fact, I do not think that we are late per se, because we have been working. The National Organizing Committee, we started our activities and meetings since June of this year. And it has been a lot of groundwork being done in the back door. So now we think that we're ready and have prepared and are prepared to at least begin, because as you know, there are so many activities planned. As Ms. Purcell was saying, we have pre February 7th activities, yes. And those it involves a lot of sort of academic, educational things, plans with the school, etc. But also take into consideration that there are 3 levels of activities that we are involving. There is a national activities, yes, that the National Organizing Committee is responsible for. There are existing activities in various communities and different parts of Grenada that we are endorsing. Many communities, organizations traditionally have had the events. So we are maintaining, we are not interfering with, but we are supporting such events. All so right. We're providing some sort of support. And the events that's organized by private people, we are endorsing these events also. So it's like 3 different levels of support, those that we are actually sponsoring or that we are presenting for the 50th. So in terms of lateness of launch, it's not really late, because we were working all along in the background. The committees have been working, the parish committees. Well, if I should give you an idea of the National Organizing Committee, there are 15 members in the National Organizing Committee, comprising persons from different sectors of the sectoral representatives, like persons from foreign affairs who will represent the we do expect a lot of guests, a lot of visitors to the nation, so they have to take care of all the details. Right. And these are details that have to be worked out months before, hotel accommodation and all of the arrangement. So that has been in process for some time now. The Commissioner of Police, of course, their work would have started a long time ago in preparation for. So a lot of this work have been taking place without any noise being made about it, basically. So it's not, and so on the committee we have, as Gail would have indicated, parish representatives from each of the parish, including Carriacou, who at this stage is, along with maybe St. Mark's, the most advanced in the planning for the parish activity. Okay, great. That they know what they're doing. Every activity is already outlined, so they are actually leading the way. So so all of these things are happening in the various parishes, and so we think we are at a position now where we can launch the activity, and we will not be planning then, but we're just putting the pieces together, led by the Secretariat, to ensure that these activities come a reality. So
you say the functionality of the committee, it's up and running, even though we haven't been hearing things much. As Grenadians, we like to hear talk. Or we like to, folks would say we like to be in the know. Yes. And I guess folks have been worried about, 50th anniversary is coming and we're not hearing anything. So you maybe have to take a little blame for that.
Yes,
well, I think they can rest assured that things are happening, and I think what's important is that when we launched to the public, we didn't want to launch empty-handed.
Understandable.
You don't want to come and have nothing to say.
I mean, I understand you want to present a full package.
Yes.
You understand? Present a full package of what's happening, and that will take place through the actual launch come the 19th of October. And an interesting part of this is the $50 commemorative note. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Why don't you take that down?
Well, as you know, the 50th anniversary for any country or anybody is a golden jubilee.
Yes.
And as a result of that, people like to hold on to something in remembrance of such an amazing event or period in any country's history. So we're speaking of 50 years of independence, and so we are going to have a $50 note which will be made available for others to purchase.
It's a commemorative.
So which means it could mean I can't spend it. Right? I want to keep that for safekeeping. I want to put it in a plaque or something of the sort.
It is a keepsake, and everyone would want to have their hand on one or a few of that to keep for maybe the next 50 years. Yeah. Could you imagine at the 100th anniversary, you can pull out that memorabilia?
Your grandchildren can pull out and say, this was it on the 50th anniversary, and move forward, and what it's going to reflect what that period was leading up to it.
All right.
So then you, in 50 more years, you can build on and say, what was important at that time for us to commemorate, and moving forward at 100, what's important for them to commemorate.
A preview of it will be on the launch or sometime.
We anticipate we may have a preview of it for the launch.
A preview of it on the launch.
Yes.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
I want to ask this also. What concerns have been taking place for the, of course, places that like changing names, the cost of businesses, etc. Changing stationery, etc. Has there any consideration or any discussion that's going to individuals about that?
So that's one of the elements, part of the commemoration activities. There will be consideration given to a review of names and significant markings in the communities that may be renamed, that are reflective of our history, that are reflective of our stories. Many names we've carried and we continue to carry, and they're not necessarily depicting our life. And it doesn't mean that we're going through the island and changing every street and wiping away whatever name was associated with that. It is a process, as Dr. Crawford has spoken about. We have historians on board who have been reviewing all of these things and looking at the criteria and making very close and considerate evaluation of recommendations to make for acknowledging our people and that tell our stories and really give a mark for us being 50 years old. As we said, in the scheme of things, 50 years is young.
So true.
It's still very young in the scheme.
I feel young.
So do I. and I mean, like, if we compare it to the lifespan of other countries and the years that they are celebrating of their independence, we're still a baby. We're still a baby in the process.
How has the discussions been going, though, in terms of that? How have the discussions been going in terms of the name changes, both individually and talking to the various passions? How the discussion is being accepted? People has there been any pushback, anything pertaining to that?
No, I think again that very subcommittee comprising of the historians, etc., they too have done the research. In fact, looking at, they have identified most, if not all, of the heritage sites throughout Grenada, and this is research that has been ongoing, coming out of people like Angus Martin, and so history of the type of research that they're involving. They have been doing that for years, and they are on board now with many of these heritage sites throughout Grenada. Have identified them, have written up short narratives on each of these sites, and they have created the criteria for renaming, so it's not an arbitrary, and not every place will be renamed. There must be good historical rationale for renaming places. So they have done a phenomenal job in terms of pulling all of that together, and they have presented to the National Organizing Committee from that subcommittee proposal that include both the criteria for both the identification of all of these sites, the criteria for renaming sites, so it's not just an arbitrary. They have even recommended some possible names, none of which has been accepted per se yet. The proposal is still being studied, and then so it goes through that type of process. So much of the work has already been done in terms of the identification of all possible heritage sites that can be possibly renamed, a short narrative written upon each of those so that we have the historical context, and the recommended, some of them are already recommended. Much will have to take place within the various communities, and it will be the parish responsibility to make that type of determination in terms of what within their own, because they are all doing that to the parishes, identifying the heritage sites, making recommendations for what they think should possibly be renamed. So it's not an arbitrary anybody do anything, but it will be a very organized system of all of the criteria have to be taken into consideration and the reasons, why. So,
and I think if I could add an important point to that, it's just not a renaming exercise. It's also it's really, there are some sites that go without a name, or an opportunity to recognize individuals, people, things by naming things that go without a name, or that just are spaces, or whether it is we figure it is important to put a bust of an individual in a particular place where it did not have a historical marking there. So it's not merely just going and changing names of names that exist. Sometimes it might be just now putting something somewhere, putting a marking to something that's central to everybody.
No, in the start of the whole process for organizing, what are some of the stumbling blocks that you always came up with, if there were any?
Well, it's an ongoing process, and I think communication is always being able to keep everybody together. When you're working with a committee, and a committee that has multiple layers, making sure that information is flowing to committee members, and making both ways, up and down, and across. That sometimes information can get muddled in one section and then not flowing all the way down, or not flowing across to those who are involved. So that's I think that's always an ongoing challenge when you're planning something this big. I think it's a challenge for the Secretariat and the committee, for the general public, because you started off with that, saying people they don't know what's going on. Our plan's happening, seems like nothing is happening. So it's communication, I think, is a challenge that we'll always have, but I think it's something we intend to hit the nail right on the head and move forward with it. As part of the Secretariat, we will have a person, it will be a fully staffed Secretariat. So it will include somebody who's responsible for PR, who will go out and make sure that we're having information out there, and getting the public tapped in.
Okay. Another, you want to chime in?
Yes, I just want, if I may, another issue now, independence is a national celebration.
So true, yes.
And it does not involve, it is not a party political celebration. It is for all Grenadians. This is our country, our moment, our celebration. And so in a possible stumbling block that I know even at the parish level is that people are beginning to create a sort of political divide, who should be on the committee, who should not be on the subcommittees, and so we had to intervene quite often to say, listen, this is a national celebration. This is for all of Grenada, irrespective of anyone's political affiliation. Once they have the talent, the time, the skill, the interest, and they're willing to participate, we're pulling them in. Your party affiliation has nothing to do with a national celebration. This is for all of Grenada, and Grenada is for all of us.
All right.
So that and conveying and having to convey that over and over, and ensuring that type of divide do not enter the very small parish. You know how intimate and close our people are, and sometimes we blur the line between national and party. And such an event is a national event and have nothing to do with party affiliation. And we say often, if you really love Grenada that much, if you're that patriotic, you must put country before party. Party is secondary to country. And so with a national celebration, and that is a challenge we constantly are encountering, and have to always try to show that this is national, this is Grenada, this is not any of the political party celebration.
Just to bring that separation.
To bring that separation for this moment. Yeah.
A question I also want to ask, the business community, has they been engaged to be part of this, who wants to chime in that? We had you mentioned the beautification of tongues and stuff like that. Has the business community been engaged, and are you getting positive feedbacks and so forth from the business community?
We do have representation of the business community on the NOC. So that's why we said we have a wide cross section of people there, and that is the process we are in now, is engaging to get businesses on board, because there are a number of events that have to be facilitated and implemented. We need your support, your sponsorship to make those things come to life.
Yes.
And we are in the process now of meeting with them to discuss what our plans are, how they can participate. And they have been coming to us as well. The businesses have many of them have taken in front, as you could say, and said, well, okay, this is what we have in mind. How can we work? And in going back to what Dr. Crawford said earlier, there are things that the NOC is going to endorse as events. So we cannot and are not going to be able to facilitate every single activity that happens, but we would certainly encourage businesses to, reflect on their own history over the 50 years and how do they demonstrate that as part of their participation. Of course, the beautification aspect of it, when it comes to the decorating of their buildings and so forth, to really plan activities and events for that. Even their own internal staffing events, put an element of that into what they're doing for the year's plan. So it's a similar thing, but the business community plays a critical role, and we certainly have been embracing and reaching out to them.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take it. We come back with much more. Don't forget, folks, those of you viewing and listening, if you do have a question or two you'd like to ask Christmas Purcell or Dr. Crawford, feel free to do so in the next segment. 435-2041. We're coming right back after the break. Stay with us.
We say, GBN we say, arts and culture living, rock the box we say, I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say, I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say, we'll be jamming here on a Thursday.
Mr. mentioned the wing high, then you have things like man, you must come back, We have the low power there.
When you push your push up, it is kind of like the same man, and it's just different name for the same kind of thing.
And last but not least, I just want to say to all the men who saw me, call me, and ask for a piece of cake. I'm baking this weekend.
Join us Fridays at 8 on GBN Television, K105 FM, GBN's Facebook page, and YouTube channel for We Culture.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's to the point for today, Wednesday, the 27th of September. And this segment, I did invite you listeners and viewers out there. If you do have a question or two or a comment you would like to make, feel free to do so. Let's take our first caller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Telesford. And good morning to your guests, Dr. Crawford and, what's the name again? Ms. Purcell. Can you hear me well, sir?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
Great. Have a nice day. Will you listen? First, there are three issues I'd like to raise here. Questions, really. First, we're in a stage of execution of certain plans, the National Organizing Committee. I would like to suggest that the names of the people involved in this organization be revealed to the people. Trust that is convenient, because the people in the various parishes and so on, and even the communities, would like to know who they have to go to or who they can go to if they have a question or an idea. 2. Now this one is a little more powerful. I urge you ladies, if you cannot answer it, please don't say anything. Say it's beyond you, that's all. Don't be afraid. Can any one of you tell me, being a person extremely concerned in the legitimacy of our independence, what does Grenada's independence mean to you? That's one part of it. The other part of it, do you know of any documentary evidence or bibliographical references that can be given to the people of Grenada read the legitimacy of the quote-unquote independence? For now, I ask these questions and make the request. I may be back. Thank you very much. Trust that you understood my questions.
Thank you, sir. Have a good morning. Anybody want to respond to any of the questions asked by Mr.
Sure. We're gonna, John, we'll be happy to respond to both of your questions. Go ahead. You want to take the NOC? Mm-hmm. Let me just pull up the names of the members of the NOC.
Go ahead and answer the others.
So, John, definitely we are going to... we can present the names of the members of the NOC and their representation. The Secretariat, I must say, will be the central nervous system of the celebration. So any proposals, ideas, and so will be directed to the Secretariat. We'll have a website. We have a phone number. We have some of those already, and so the Secretariat is a central place where any type of proposals, ideas, comments can be sent, and we will definitely be able to get it, access it from there. Your second question, John, the legitimacy and what independence mean. Well, for me, independence means self-determination. It means for me that we have attained the right to make decisions for Grenada, for the benefit of Grenada, and as we do so without external, if I should say, influence, or that we are allowed as a people to plan our destiny, that we are allowed as a people to honor and uphold the things that's important to us as a people. In other words, to plan and design our country's future in our image, in our likeness, as I said before, as how we want to see it done. Self-determination. And that's what independence means for me. I'm not seeing independence as a single event, but it's a process. Mm-hmm. And if you look at Grenada's history as we evolved, and in 1974, when we attained independence under Sir Eric Matthew Gary, and independence that was handed to us basically. And sometimes I look at it as, when I look at the history of many of the African countries that had to fight bitterly for their independence, that was not our situation. Our situation to me felt as, when you reach a certain age in your household and your parents say, well, I think it's time that you go find your own quarters, you go rent your own place or something like that. It feels, that is, to me, is what happened in our situation. Whether you're ready or not, you need to go out and chart your route yourself, right? So that is how it felt in our situation, unlike many of the African countries who fought bitterly for their independence. And I think the difference is that they do have all these minerals and wealth, and so that the colonial masters did not want to let go easily off. After our human resource has been taken apart and there is nothing left, we were handed a document and said, here is your independence. So it is wise that we took it, because what it meant, we now have self-determination. We can decide our journey, we can decide the route we take, and we have a part to play, or we are all playing the main part in designing and doing that. So to me, independence is welcome. To me, independence, I do not see it as a short-term something. And as Ms. Person said, 50 years, we are very young. It's like think of somebody who is pregnant and just gave birth. So we are like that baby, cannot walk yet, cannot feed ourselves yet, there's so many things we cannot do yet, and so it takes years to get out of 300 years of not being able to have self-determination. Right. So as you think about it that way, that is what independence means to me. That's why I so welcome and was happy to embrace the opportunity to lead the National Organizing Committee in celebrating our Jubilee year.
All right.
Okay, John?
All right. Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Yes, good morning. I was looking at the show, and I think the 50 years of independence, we need to concentrate more on what we have done in 50 years, what we will do going forward, what we need to do to progress as a nation, instead of concentrating on painting every stone red, yellow, and green. Every river stone is red, yellow, and green. Every tree trunk is red, yellow, and green. I've been driving around the nation, and it becomes a point where it is unattractive, it is defacing, it is almost vandalism. I see some of our historic buildings, beautiful historic buildings in town, red, yellow, and green with cocoa pods painted on buildings that should not be touched. We do not have to red, yellow, and green our historic buildings, every river stone, every pebble. It becomes unattractive. Let us not concentrate on the red, yellow, and green and painting and the carnival and the bacchanal and the partying. A whole year before, all we're thinking about is the partying. Let's concentrate on how we can make ourselves stronger and more progressive as a nation. That is what we need to concentrate on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Anybody want to respond to the caller?
I'm very happy to hear the caller's points, and I agree with her. I think it's time that we reflect, and that is what independence is about. It's reflection on where we've come from, where we've been, what has molded us to this stage, and looking forward to the future. So it's not just sticking in the past, but also saying, where are we going? Where are we going? 50 years from now, where do we want to be? So what are we doing in the present to chart that vision? And yes, certainly the beautification aspect of it, there will be criteria set out that we would encourage, that falls into a national beautification plan. How do we want, because that's all part of it. So we're looking at the past, we look at what has happened in the past in terms of beautification, and then we want to look forward. What do we want to see Grenada look like? And in marking our 50th independence, our beautification process should come with a vision of looking forward, of how we want to see, how do we want to leave this for our children and grandchildren? What path do we want them to trod going forward? And beautification is part of that. It's part of it. How do we take care of our environment?
All right, so good. Another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Telesol, and good morning to your guests. I believe that Grenada is richly blessed to have these two genuine, hard-working Grenadians on our committee that is going to take us to the 50th anniversary celebration of our independence. And for this, I'm eternally grateful. I look forward to the pre-independence celebration. Remember, the independence thing started in Grenville, and Grenville people look forward to that. And to all of those people that are working behind the scenes, we say thank you for your efforts. And somehow I wonder, in everything, people always condemn. How much of us really used to participate in the October 19th celebration? And yes, it's a time to commemorate, but that doesn't hinder or stop us. We just have more time on our hand. And to you good ladies, especially Dr. Crawford, I know you're very hardworking and you do us proud. God bless you. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Colin.
Thank you.
All right. I guess you will not want to say that now, and it's going to be left until the actual, launch. Someone is asking, if you could see the theme, the slogan for the 50th anniversary. But I guess all of that is going to remain.
That's going to come out at the launch. That's what we want you to come out for, and really, I think pulling out of what the last caller has said is this is an opportunity to galvanize our national spirit. We want people to come together as communities and really propel our nation forward. So I think let's take it as that opportunity to come together.
All right. Someone is saying via the Facebook comment section, and they're saying that St. Patrick is the most historical part of Grenada when talking history. Why the launch couldn't take place there? Because of the historical history. Also, they heard about every parish should be having their month of celebration. Why can you tell us that if every parish will have their own committee? I guess that was also mentioned already, and the allocation for every parish. I guess you already spoke.
Yeah, so I'll just repeat it because I know people join the program at different parts. But yes, each parish has a parish lead who's and a committee, and it's an opportunity for people within the parish to feed in their ideas into that to form what they want for their celebrations, for their parish celebrations. All right. And the intention is to have the parish will have a month which they can roll out their events.
All right, great. Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Mr. Telesford, I beg your indulgences just for a second again. Quite eloquently put, Dr. Crawford. I do appreciate the answer to the first part. There is a second part that you have not answered. And additionally, I'd like to ask this briefly. Currently, the heroes of this here country have been recognized and given royal affirmation. In other words, all has been through the king and the queen, or the queen first and now the king. The proposal to give national, and I'm hoping that is native Grenadians who will be really, or which law, what authority will be establishing that? Because as far as it is right now, through the constitution order placed on us by the monarchy, we honor our people, or some of our people. What will be the authority for the new list of national heroes? Thank you very much and have a nice day, will you?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Anyone want to respond?
Yes. John, let me just answer the second part of your first question that I did not answer. You're right. You're correct. In fact, I recently spoke to the British High Commission concerning that document. That document, and if it is possible for him to access for us that document that would have been given to Grenada at the time of independence. Because as you know, we had Hurricane Ivan, and much of the documents in Government House and everywhere were destroyed or were not properly recovered after Hurricane Ivan. And since we have not have electronic copies of those types of documents, I think we would have lost a lot of historic information and document over the years. But the good news is that much of this document will definitely be housed in the UK. And so I had a recent discussion with the British High Commissioner asking that he help us to access some of these very important historic documents that may have been lost during Hurricane Ivan. documentation. So definitely he has promised to do so, and he has started the work to get the document for us, which is a plus. So hopefully when we get that can be on maybe Grenada's website or something. So that will be available, John.
All right. So anything else?
And concerning the heroes, there is legislation, design awards and honors legislation that with specific criteria for doing so, and good rationale for selecting it, and that's what we are following in doing this.
All right. Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, and especially to your two lovely guests, one of them in particular, the one closer to you. So I'm not going to embarrass her on air or anything. She knows the voice, but you have to substitute as, being there to give her a hug, a massive bear hug on my behalf, Wendy and everything. One thing I wanted to say on the serious side, and that is about maintenance. Unfortunately, I joined the program later. I don't know if it was done earlier. When it comes to things like independence and everything like that, it's one thing to set up this, set up that, have the other, and on and on and on. Okay? If you want to look at a loose, quick example of maintenance or a lack thereof, well, our lights, our floodlights, what you call it, traffic lights, that is, But look at things like historic sites, where you have remnants of, things going back to the Caribs and everything like that. So Grenada, we seem to be really, really good at setting up certain things, but when it comes to maintenance, in the interest of independence and continued independence, a look at maintenance, a more serious look at it, to see that what we set up, we keep. And so that from year after year after year, 55 years of independence, 60, as a good Lord allows, then we'll still have those wonderful things. Just a thought on my part. I don't know if there are any comments. Wendy, you take extra good care.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Wendy has lots of fans.
Yes. That's a major concern. You'll be surprised to know that we do not have the legislative authority to take care. We do not have a central body to take care of our parks and historic sites and things like that. And I must again say that very hard-working committee have also put together an idea, because what they're thinking is long-term. Mm-hmm. And as you rightly said, much of what we have done in the past is too short-term. And these things fall into disrepair very quickly. If you go around the country at some of the major historic sites, or even the smaller ones within communities, they're in total state of disrepair. They're not even acknowledged. They're covered in bush. It's just in a terrible state. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that the Heritage Subcommittee has done, not only identified them, but also made recommendation that we need a sort of legislative authority to take care of these parks, artifacts that belong to Grenada are shipped out or flown out of the country. Nobody knows by who, and people just come into Grenada, walk out with our stuff, and we do not have the legislative authority to stop, to confiscate, to take from. So all of those things are being considered, because the whole idea is that this committee will eventually evolve and continue to work even throughout the year, the Jubilee year and beyond, to work specifically on things, reclaiming our cultural sites and our heritage sites and really taking care and maintaining them. And so the legislative authority is required to do that, and that the NOC plan to present to our government for consideration.
All right. We may be able to take our final caller. Time is upon us. So let's take our final caller. Caller, good morning and welcome. Be quick about it, please. what happened there.
But I just like to be able to give some contact details. So
sure, I would. You can go ahead with that. Yeah.
In the interim, so our people who may want to submit information, request different things. So for now, we can be contacted by email.
Yes.
And so the email address is info@grenadaturns50.gd.
All right.
So that's info@grenadaturns50.gd.
I think we could probably entertain some closing comments from both of you, but because time is upon us, we may not be able to entertain that final caller. Any closing comments, Ram?
Well, I just take the opportunity to invite people out to the launch event on the 19th of October. Yes. It will be held on the Carnage from 4 p.m. It will have a lot to look forward to. It will be declared a holiday on that day.
All right.
So it's for everyone to be there. We want all people to come down, and it's you'll get at that point we'll be unveiling the logo, the theme song, and many other things. It's going to be an event that people should not miss.
All right. You said coming down. I think I keep missing that. Where's the launch actually going to be taking place?
On the Carnage. Oh, sorry, you didn't hear.
I think you mentioned it though. But
yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, I did.
I probably have missed it
because the Secretariat is also on the Carnage.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You did mention it in your intro when you started that. When the Secretariat will be taking place.
Yes,
I probably didn't miss with the launch we actually taking place
on the Carnage. Carnage.
Dr. Crawford, closing comments?
I just want to echo Gail's call to invite all of Grenada to come to the Carnage on the 19th of October, where we would Heroes Day, where we will begin the activities, or we will declare the beginning of the activities for the Jubilee year. And as you know, 50 years is worth. It's an amazing time for us. It's a lot for us to look back at. We have had a lot of ups and downs, but let's celebrate our resilience. Let us come out and be part of the activities that would lead up to our big day on February 7th.
All right. Thank you so much. Before I wrap, Minister Lennox Andrew, on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism, salutes the tourism industry on World Tourism Day and thank them for their continued contribution to the industry and the development of Grenada. Once again, I want to thank you both for being on the program this morning. Interesting information. Looking forward towards the launch and the year of activity coming up also, and hope all rolls out well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Hey, folks, I want to thank all who contributed towards today's program. Thank you so much, and join us again for another edition of To The Point. That's where I say goodbye for today.